Good morning. Welcome to Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze, and this is the hour dedicated to discussing all sorts of matters that could affect you, right? Your family, your church, and so that will mean we're covering politics, we're covering culture, we're covering theology, just a little bit of everything. Tomorrow is Theology Thursday, and if you want your theology questions answered, that is your opportunity to submit them to me. You can either do it by sending a text message, if you have my number. If you want my number, just reach out to me and I'll give it to you. If you want to do it through an email address, go to markbazeministries.org. There you can access my email and you can send me one if you want it to be anonymous. Or if you have a question that's, you want to ask, put it in the live chat. If you have a good one today, put it in the live chat. I'll save it. Kristen often helps me keep track of things. She'll make sure I don't miss a question. And so great to have all of you here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Now, let's see here. Let's go over to the YouTube channel really quickly because I have a few things uploaded for you to take a look at. And with that, here we are. If you go to the channel, we've got 2 new editions uploaded for you. And that would be a biblical view of America. And that is a sermon all about what does the Bible say, right? A sermon about what does the Bible say. But what is the most biblically accurate way to view the United States? Let's rightly divide. Let's get that right. And then the last days, looking at the 7 churches of Revelation, that's session number 16. And so if you'd like to have a decent study, I hope it's decent, over the matters of eschatology, Revelation, the last days, things like that, that would be the place to go. Let's see here. There was one other thing that I was going to mention to you, and the topic escapes me, but I had just had it placed in my mind, and I was going to tell you all about it, and it was going to be amazing. But, oh well, I'll probably think about it 5 hours after this, and then I'll remember it. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and move on. Maybe I'll remember it later. So, Trump's picks. Let's talk about politics a little bit. There was an election not too long ago, and Donald Trump is now appointing his cabinet, his head of departments, and so let's see how he's doing. Let's take a look at the picks and how good they are. So far, I'm pretty happy. So, Department of Homeland Security, that was recently announced as Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota. Kristi Noem, I know she's did a lot of good things. She took a strong stance against COVID and kept the state open, things like that, to the best of her ability. The only thing I have against her would be that she did not come out and just immediately sign a bill to ban transgender, right, men competing against women. And she did so under the guise of, well, South Dakota gets to host some NCAA tournaments. If we get on their bad side, then it's going to hurt the state. Like, come on, Kristi, have a backbone, all right? But that's my biggest complaint. And she since kind of changed her tune. She decided, I think, not to just give in to the desires of the NCAA and took a stand. She'll probably do fine. She's been pretty strong about securing the border. And she'll be working hand in hand with the border czar, which is Homan. And he's a bulldog. He's an intimidating guy. You can see clips of him going toe-to-toe with politicians and judges and things like that. And yeah, he's not backing down. He's got some really strong convictions about the border. He'll say we don't have to separate families because we can deport them all, right? And so the left is going to be up in arms, this horrible, terrible, mean man. But it seems like he means business. Trump is not messing around, people. He's looking like he wants to get back to where he was and even better before COVID came in his first term, all right? And so he is determined to get the ball running as quickly as possible. He did recently announce that his nominee for the defense secretary is Pete Hegseth, and I know that he's on Fox News some. Seems like a good choice. I don't know just a ton about him other than he's been a pretty outspoken defender of Trump and all those things. Trump's not going to appoint somebody who is not a strong supporter of his. Now, the left are complaining because Pete Hegseth has been in the journal news sphere as of late. And that's funny, that they would use that as a complaint because aren't the heroes of the republic the media, right? The sacred media like MSNBC and CNN, ABC. But Pete Hegseth, he is an Army National Guard veteran. He did experience combat. He joined in 2001 after the attack on 9/11. And so he has been there and seen combat. Now, they're complaining against him just because what kind of leadership role has he had? All he was kind of I don't know if you use the word grunt in the military. But all that to be said, seems like he's going to be a good pick. I am not immediately against the idea of having somebody who has never been top dog do the job. I think you got to pay your dues. I think that, working at the lower levels is beneficial. Used to that was kind of the idea. Was it the Rockefellers that, that made their sons work out in the fields before they could go and take corporate positions? And if not them, there's others that have done it as well. I think even Elon Musk has worked on the floor in the factories before. So the idea of knowing what it's like on the ground floor, whether that is working in a factory or being a foot soldier, I think that's valuable. That doesn't mean that you're going to automatically know how to run things at the top. Things are different when you get up there. But I think also going straight to leadership does not normally work out well either. Think about all these career politicians. What has Joe Biden ever done in his life outside of politics? Nothing, right? He immediately went to being a senator. And so, I think he immediately went to being a senator. But anyways, he hasn't done anything. So he doesn't know what it's like to be a normal everyday person. It's always funny to me when he acts like, he's old Union Joe for the everyday man. Joe has not been an everyday man for most of his life. I mean, goodness, probably 60, 70% of his life. And think about all these other swamp creatures, right? AOC, what has she done? She starts trying to talk about economics. Lady, you were tending bars. Nothing against bartenders, and I know that sounds strange coming from a Baptist, right? But you're going to immediately step in and think that you know how to run businesses, even though you worked as an employee at one. So going straight into leadership, I don't think works. You have to get a grasp and understanding of how these things work. And so I'm not against it. I think he's probably going to do a great job. And so also the Department of Government Efficiency. That's going to be the department that is going to be headed up by Vivek Ramaswamy. Awesome. I think Vivek's great. The more I've heard him talk, the more I like him. Early on, I was kind of skeptical of him just because he was new and I didn't really know. But now I'm convinced that he's going to do great. And guess who's helping him? Yep, you guessed it, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is going to be co-chair with him. That's how Trump has the nominations in place. I think it's going to be great. There's way too many government departments, and we've got a clean house. And so I hope that they can get it done. I know that there's going to be probably lawsuit after lawsuit to try to tie everything up in the courts. But hey, maybe it can happen. Maybe they can get it done. So I think Trump's making great picks. I'm enthusiastic about all this. I'm not telling you that it's going to fix everything. We'll talk about that here in just a little while. But so far, so good. I'm optimistic. I'm not going to pretend like Trump's going to usher in the Davidic reign, but at the same time, I think we're going to have some good years ahead of us. I think Thomas Massey has been appointed to be the director of the Department of Agriculture, from what I understand. I could be wrong about that, but he's going to be involved in some capacity. And so, he's putting the right people in the right places and excited about that. Okay, here's what I wanted to talk to you about. Let me see here. I know not everybody has Facebook, and I'm not telling you that Facebook's the greatest thing in the world, and do not create a Facebook just to... Do not create a Facebook just to get this. But if you are interested, I have started a group on Facebook. So if you would like to have a group to be a part of, this is a great opportunity for you to share and to discuss. And that group is, ready? I'm going to show it to you. Let me get the screen set up to where you can see it nice and pretty. Here it is, Right Dividers, Defending the Faith. There actually are several different right dividing Facebook groups, but ours is the best. Yeah, go ahead and join. If you would like to be a part of it, I'm going to share my videos. That way you have quick access to these if you would like. It's also a place, we got Michael Napier on here. I haven't got to meet him in person yet, but excited about him. If you have theology questions, you can post those. We can discuss them. Also, if you would like to have a Shields and Arrow question, all you got to do is just label it Question for Theology Thursday. And so, yeah, if you are on Facebook and you are interested in joining the group that I made, it'll be a great way for us to all stay in touch, all right? And actually put something positive on Facebook for once instead of all of the normal, garbage that's on there, okay? All right. I see we have 1611 King James Bible believer forever, amen. I got to say the full name. I have been studying the book of Jasher and have discovered that on chapter 19, verse 52 tells us that Lot's wife was called Ado, or Ado. What's your thoughts on this? Searching other Apocrypha books to fill in. Interesting. I have only looked at parts of the Apocrypha. I do not think the Apocrypha is canonical scripture, even though I think the events are most of the events anyways are true, the Maccabee revolt and all those things that occurred. So, interesting. I'll read it one of these days. I'll do a study on the Apocrypha and give my thoughts. I'll certainly look at it, though, for Theology Thursday. So I'll write this down, okay? King James, Bible believer, forever, amen. 1611 King James Bible believer, I should add. So yeah, interesting question. I'll be more than happy to take a look at it. Here's the policy I have. There is no question that I am going to avoid, all right? If you ask the question, I'll give it an answer. I bet I might regret that one day. But yeah, that's what I'm saying anyways for right now. So, okay. Now, with that, hey, I see that Stephen Rose is already asked to join the group. Absolutely. Great to have you on, Stephen. It'll just be another fun thing, for us to stay in touch and things like that. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the 4B movement. The 4B movement. This comes courtesy of CNN. Now, if you have been paying attention to the panic that's going on in the liberal sphere of the United States, the feminist sphere of the United States, you may have heard of this 4B movement. So after Trump's win, some women are considering the 4B movement. Now, if you're not familiar with it, it comes out of like South Korea and women protesting, basically a feminist movement. So they haven't gotten their way. So here's what it is, okay? Young liberal women across TikTok and Instagram are discussing and sharing information about the South Korean feminist movement in which straight women refuse to marry, have children, date, or have relations with men. So punishing men for being horrible, terrible, sexist, bigots, whatever. So these women say they are enraged and fed up after a majority of their male counterparts voted for a candidate who was found liable for sexual abuse and whose appointment of 3 consecutive court justices led to the overturning of national abortion rights protections. So first of all, Trump has been found liable for sexual abuse. that requires context because I think we all agree that is a sham of a trial. It's a kangaroo court. It's a silly, ridiculous thing, okay? The accusations behind the story were scant at best. And so, yeah, whatever, you get to claim, oh, you elected a horrible, terrible rapist to the office. Yeah, not so fast. The courts may have sided that way, but just like a particular event that occurred with George Floyd, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think Derek Chauvin is not guilty of first-degree murder, okay? So with that being said, that's their reason. They say that the Supreme Court has overturned national abortion right protections, but at least they protected the daughters that were in the womb, and now the states can vote on the matter. So in response, they say that they're swearing off men, and they're encouraging others around the country to join them. We have pandered and begged for men's safety and done all the things that we were supposed to do, and they still hate us. Ashley Pollard, a 36-year-old in St. Louis, told CNN. It's not that we hate you, we just want a good country. And just because you wanted a female president doesn't mean it's good enough. Now, here's the thing. Do not buy the lie. And I was kind of worried about this, I will say. Before the election took place, I was worried that women as a majority were going to go for Trump or go for Kamala Harris. Not actually true. Yes, Kamala Harris won women, but it wasn't by near as wide of a margin, okay? And as a matter of fact, I think white women went majority for Trump by slim margins. And so don't throw all the ladies into this thing. Not all of the women buy into your propaganda, okay? There's a lot of conservative women out there, like some of the women who watch this show, right? And the woman who raised me, things like that. But they are saying, so now we are protesting, and how we're going to do it, the 4B movement. What is the 4B movement, you may be wondering? It is a shorthand for 4 Korean words, Bihon, and I don't know how to pronounce Korean, so just bear with me. Bikusalan, or Bikulsan, Beione, and Bisekusu. I don't know. I speak Oklahoman, okay? But it stands for... It's translated as no marriage, no children, no dating, and no relations, right? So the 4B movement emerged in South Korea around 2015 or 2016, which when a lot of the feminist stuff was going on, with Hillary Clinton and whatnot. And it was mostly popular among young women in their 20s. It was, with the Me Too movement, like I said, Hillary Clinton. In 2016, a woman was brutally killed near Seoul subway station. The perpetrator reportedly said he killed her because he felt ignored by women. The incident prompted a national reckoning around how women are treated in the country, expanding to include conversations around femicide, revenge pornography, which I guess is the act of secretly filming someone and then releasing that horrible, ugly thing. And so with that was a movement that took place in South Korea. Now women are adopting it. So that is their idea. They are not going to engage in these things, okay? So let's go through the list. They're not going to marry men. I'm guessing you could, marry other women according to their incorrect definition. Have children, right? Can't have children. Because children are a thing of the patriarchy, horrible, terrible. Being a mother is slavery, that's their view. Date men, right? No relation at all, and have no relations with men, right? I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, sounds good to me, right? All these feminist ladies, we don't need them getting pregnant because then they're just going to murder their children. And we don't want them to be engaging in promiscuity. And it doesn't sound like they're good wife material, so they shouldn't get into a marriage anyways. I know that's what we're tempted to do and what we're tempted to say and how that is the proper thing to do. To a degree, that's the point, right? We don't want you to have relations outside of marriage. I know, shocking, right? Old fuddy-duddy me, okay? Marriage includes particular activities, right, that are only for married couples. Used to, men were motivated to be responsible, competent, have a job, support a family, so that he would be worthy of a woman's hand in marriage. and then he would be able to benefit from, the things that married people do. But now we've taught society that there is no connection between relations and marriage, so people just go and engage in whatever kind of promiscuous activities that they want. But to a degree, all that is just conservative values, all right? But the problem is the refusal to get married and have children, okay? The refusal to get married and have children is problematic. And that's because it's good to have kids. We're going to look at an article here in a moment, but it is good to have kids. Now, let's talk about this matter, though, of this principle of we are not going to have relations with men, okay? You see, I think that is actually the proper response for an unmarried woman, right, or an unmarried man. We're not going to engage in these activities. We have conditioned society, okay? Now both, I think, through the moral code that God has given us, the age of conscience, if you will, the dispensation of conscience, knowing good and evil. We know it's wrong to murder. We know it's wrong to steal. We know it's wrong to do other things. Society is conditioned, especially in American society, that, keep dropping my pen, I better leave it alone for a second. We have conditioned society to agree with the premise that it is wrong to engage in murder, and it's wrong to engage in, let's just use another example, like pedophilia, okay? Those things are taboo, not acceptable, right? For the most part in society, people don't engage in that. Depends on, I guess, if you go to some not very nice places of certain blue cities. Here's the question I want to ask. Sexual promiscuity is sinful, okay? It is. It's a sin. Fornication is a sin, just as murder, lying, all those things, okay? It is. Whether you like it or not, the Word of God is very clear. Fornication, promiscuity, impurity, those things are sinful. And yet, society has said it is a lost cause to try to encourage abstinence and sexual purity before marriage. And it's proof that we have given up on that, because we now are teaching high schoolers, middle schoolers even, some very young people, about how to avoid STDs. Now, the way that, here's the secret, right? The way that you avoid STDs is just not engaging in those activities. I remember when I was in college, and we were taking a health class, and the lesson of the day was on STDs. And the instructor, it wasn't a university, so this guy was not a professor, he was an instructor, was giving a lesson on the deal, and he was talking about how all the ways that you can avoid STDs, right? Mostly it's using particular contraceptive, right? That's the main point. As well as avoiding certain types of activities that can make one more susceptible. Now, those activities, I'm not talking about walking in, purity and avoiding those things, but very particular and almost, graphic detail, right? And he goes through all the different ways that you can try to cheat the system, okay, and not get STDs. But he never said the entire time the option, which is abstinence. Not being promiscuous. That was never an option. So, I can be opinionated sometimes. When the and I'll quote myself, okay? When the lecture was concluded, I, being a 19-year-old freshman in this class, he left out that part. So when he said we were dismissed, I stood up and said, And the absolute best way to avoid STDs is to not have sex. That's what I said. And he kind of got a little bit, he was caught off guard a little bit, and then he said, yes, you're right, yeah. Abstinence is the foolproof way. It is, it's the foolproof way. It works every time, right? But we have said in a society that it's impossible. You can't do it, all right? Kids aren't going to listen. There is no point in trying to teach purity, chastity, things like that, because they're just not going to do it. That just means that you gave up on trying. We could have said, all right, it's pointless to try to enforce. Well, here's a great example. They have given up in California enforcing laws against theft. In California, you can just walk in and rob the place. And I know that they say, well, if you steal up to a certain amount, blah, blah, blah. We know. You can just walk in. We've all seen the videos. People walking into a Walgreens with a trash bag, dumping stuff in and walking away. We've seen it. We legalized it. As long as you riot, you can steal whatever you want. And Kamala Harris is going to bail you out. What you tolerate will become normal societal behavior. What you tolerate will become normal societal behavior. We have done so with promiscuity, okay? And therefore, I would say, people say it doesn't work, people still engage in it. Yeah, because it's a tolerated thing. It's a tolerated thing. We tolerate within our families. Parents aren't having these serious conversations with their children, and that's where it all starts. It starts at the home. And we allow it in our schools. We allow it in our churches. We really do. Just because it's an uncomfortable thing to discuss. And so therefore, it's a vicious cycle that goes on and on and on. Now, here's an amazing thing. I think that it is possible for us to cause a change in society and its views and its approach to purity. I'm not saying everybody's going to follow the law, and I'm not telling you that it needs to be in law. What are some things that are not in law, but are a part of conducting oneself properly in society? Okay? For the most part, something like hygiene, right? The basic level of cleanliness. Having a shower in your home, making sure that you're not completely filthy. Those things are considered, I mean, there's not a law against not taking a shower, but societal norms, right? Public profanity. That is something that it's not looked upon in good light. Now, there are some laws about it to some degree, but how often are those enforced? So I'm not saying that we should go back to the good old days and, stone people for such actions. What I am saying is you can create standards in a community, standards in a society. Families have standards. That was a standard that my family had, and I was raised and brought up with that. Here's the problem. Here's why we don't do that, in my opinion. The older generations do not want to be hypocrites. Because, guess what? If you were, and I'm not saying this is a blanket hard and fast rule for everybody, but if you grew up as a child of the 70s and the 80s, you grew up in the post-free love movement, right? Make love, not war. And it had lasting impact. And even some of them were being raised by parents who had that mentality. So you, as an older generation, did not live in a pure way, right? As far as your promiscuity. And you feel like if you start trying to encourage, promote, even put forth the family policy that we're going to do things in an order that is honoring to God, you are feeling like you are a hypocrite because you did not do those things yourself. So I have a couple things to say. Number one, that doesn't make you a hypocrite, okay? I don't know why we have allowed the left or just other people to hijack the term hypocrite and make it whatever they want. A hypocrite is not someone who has previously engaged in an activity and opposes that activity now. And here's another one for you, which is going to sound kind of crazy. But being a hypocrite also does not mean that you will not sometimes struggle with that same act, okay? I think that's a part of being human, okay? The alcoholic who says it is bad to be a drunkard is not a hypocrite if he sometimes struggles with alcoholism. The hypocritical thing would be to say, I am not an alcoholic, you shouldn't be an alcoholic, but then he turns right around and gets drunk every night, okay? That is a hypocritical thing. But struggling with it, or previously being involved with it, but now you have a different worldview, that is not being hypocritical. How are you ever going to fix a problem if you're not willing to make a change and an adjustment? That's what we have to ask. How are you going to be able to fix a problem if you're not willing to make a change, make an adjustment, okay? So I think the 4B movement, in part, yeah, that's what we want. We want purity, we want chastity, we don't want children being born out of wedlock, we don't want children to be murdered in the womb, but you do need to get married. As a matter of fact, here comes an interesting article from Christian Post. Sometimes they have some decent stuff. Here is an article from them. Parents with kids under 18 swung to Trump in 2024 election, according to exit polling. So parents with kids under 18, that's interesting because if you're, I'm a parent with the kids under 18 years of age. I don't know, let's just say that you were 20 years old when you had your first kid. I know that's young for a lot, but not young for some, partly because of, promiscuity and whatnot that occurs. That means that, these parents are late 30s to, early 50s, right? Late 30s to early 50s, depending on when you started your family and all of that. So parents with kids, this is a younger generation. This is not the older generation. These aren't even, I guess, the baby boomers. These are going to be the millennials for the most part. They are moving in a more conservative direction. It says exit polling from the 2024 presidential election shows that parents of children younger than 18 swung to former President Donald Trump as the issue of parental rights in education continues to loom large in American politics. So, maybe the issue is, or the main concern is parental rights in education. That's absolutely true. What are you teaching our kids? Are you telling my boy that he can be a girl, and are you calling him by a different name but not telling me because that's a big secret between the school and the student? According to exit polling compiled based on the responses of 22,914 voters in last week's election, parents of children younger than 18 comprised 27% of the electorate. This year, 57% of this group of voters backed President-elect Trump. So not major margins. Kamala Harris was 44, so that's a 9-point difference there. And I think that's a big deal. That represents a shift from 2020 when exit polling showed that 52% of parents with minor children supported Democrat Joe Biden. What does this say? I think that it is absolutely true that getting married and having children will make you more conservative. The title of the show is Parenthood is a Gateway Drug to Becoming Conservative. Because guess what? When you are married and you have children, you have an automatic investment in the future. And being invested in the future is a conservative principle. I know that sounds strange, maybe to like the left side of the room. Who am I talking? Who am I kidding? There's no left side of the room in this conversation, but the left will say, no. It's the progressives that are thinking about the future. But the truth is, what are all their policies? Their policies are kill internal combustion engines, even though it's completely unsustainable in the long run. They say, let's blow out the government spending. Let's have a ton of welfare. Let's flood the country with people that are not actual citizens of the nation, and there will not be any actual lasting impact. And so we're going to make the dollar worthless. We are going to let all these foreign wars go on and on and on. It'll eventually work itself out. That is a here and now, put a Band-Aid on the boo-boo approach. Conservatism says no. There are certain things that have always worked. All right? Hard work has worked. Securing a nation is the way that a nation lasts. Teaching people that moral reality exists and that we have a higher purpose in our Creator. These are things that have worked throughout human history. Conservatism is concerned about the future, where liberalism is all about the present, the here, and the now. Conservatism is about the future by learning from the past. Liberalism is about the here and now because it hates everything that the past held and taught. So, all of that to be said, we do need these feminists to get married and have children. Now, it needs to be a good marriage. It doesn't need to be some joke marriage between two people in name only. Like, it actually needs to have a purpose, okay? They should have vows, and I think those are all good things, right? Actual marriage between a man and a woman. And they need to have children because all of a sudden you do care about securing the border because you want your children to be safe when they go to school. You want your daughters to be safe when they go out into the world, whether it's college or a job, they move away from home, whatever. You want them to be safe. Conservatives offer that solution, whereas the liberal platform does not. So, parenthood is important. I think that if we can have children in this world, parents raising them, will be a much better place. That's my thoughts on the matter. Now, lastly, I do have one more post from the Christian Post, one more article to get to from Pastor Greg Laurie. Now, Pastor Greg Laurie, let's see here. I've heard his name before. I am not a connoisseur of Greg Laurie's stuff. He is an American evangelical pastor, Christian nationalist. That's what it says on harvest.org. Who serves as the senior pastor of Harvest Harvest Christian Fellowship, based in Riverside, California. I don't know much about him. He may be a complete and total heretic. He may be just kind of a squishy evangelical. Says he's Christian nationalist, so that probably means he's somewhat conservative. He may be way, way out there. Know nothing about him other than what he has to say in this article. Okay? So, don't judge, don't think I'm endorsing him in any way. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be disagreeing with him, so it's quite the opposite. But if we read this post from the Christian Post, Greg Laurie says, God placed Trump in power for such a time as this. First of all, that comes from the book of Esther. The book of Esther is about Esther, if you didn't know. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of just quoting Bible verses out of context, right? There's a lot of lines I like. And probably my favorite is who is this uncircumcised Philistine to defy the armies of the living God? But I haven't found a place to apply it in my daily living. Nowadays in American culture, it's kind of hard to know exactly, right? Are you or are you not? And then also the armies of the living God, I haven't seen them, running around lately. So with that being said, you can have some favorite lines from the Bible, but that doesn't mean you just get to use them. But it seems like he wants to use them here. It says, Americans are tired of this crazy woke agenda. Yeah, I think that's true. But he goes on and he talks here. Pastor Greg Laurie recently delivered a message claiming President-elect Donald Trump received a mandate from the American people to lead. I think that's true. Overwhelming win. Won the Senate, won the House, won the White House. And that a Harris administration would have likely led to increased government hostility against Christians. I think that's true as well. One reason why I took issue with Bonnie yesterday. Oh, Bonnie. Harris would not have been friendly to Christianity. I think that's absolutely true. He says Americans are tired of this crazy woke agenda we've been dealing with for the last 4 years. Laurie said in a clip as he posted Monday to X, we're done with it, promoting late-term abortions, mutilating our children, men and women's sports, men and women's bathrooms, the list goes on, and I believe that God has placed President Trump in office for such a time as this. I really like everything he just said, except for the very end there. And I know that that's not a very popular move with a lot of Christianity. But I think we've got to, pump the brakes. We got to calm down a little bit before we just start saying that God sent Donald Trump to the United States, okay? I've said it before, I've said it again. We live in a dispensation of the mystery of the grace of God. God's not dealing with nations. He's dealing with individuals. That's actually the point behind my sermon. A biblical view of America, not to give the whole thing away. You should still watch it. And also, I will say, they are some of the younger people in our church led a great song that you'll want to listen to. It was quite excellent. Is Kristen here? Her kids sang it. I don't know if I see Kristen in the chat or not right now. Maybe we'll get her later. She's busy working though. With all that being said, we need to be really careful about saying that Donald Trump has been appointed to the White House for such a time as this. I'm optimistic about what Trump's going to do. But Trump is also just a man, and the people that he's appointing are just men and women. They could mess up. I hope we're not setting ourselves up for failure and disappointment. There is a lot of optimism right now, and I'm not telling you to just be doom and gloom and think that it's all over. But what I am telling you is, let's just not count the chickens before they hatch, people. Let's wait and see how all this plays out. This second term for Trump could be excellent. It could be it was okay. Or we could be looking back and saying, wow, that took a turn south really, really fast. So just let's wait and see. I'm glad he won. I voted for him. Y'all saw how happy I was. Let's just wait and see how this whole thing works out before we start saying that, Donald Trump was God's special vessel. I do not think that God sent Donald Trump. I think that we elected Donald Trump, and I think that out of our options that were possible to win, he's the best one that we had. And I said possible to win, okay? Politics is the art of nominating the person that can win, and Trump was the one that could win. So, Christians, let's pump the brakes. Let's calm down, okay? I think that Trump has a lot of good policies that are going to be to the benefit of our country. At the same time, he is going to do some things over the next 4 years that are going to make you want to pull your hair out. Because that's just how Trump is. Trump is going to Trump. It's what he does. All right, so let's just be thankful. Thankful that Kamala Harris didn't win. And let's pray for Trump. Let's pray for Biden. Last few months of his presidency. Probably should pray for Biden's health as well. And so let's be careful, guys. All right? Let's not attribute things to God that are not actually his direct working, okay? I think we often want to credit too much to the Lord, and God is saying, we're not in that dispensation, okay? All right, let's say hi to some people. Let's check in on you, how you're doing. I got to take some calves to the cell, so if we wrap up a little bit early, I'm going to go hook up a trailer. All right, we have Myra on today. Good morning, Myra. Great to have you. Alan in Portland, good morning. Mom, great to see you. Stephen Rose, howdy. Toby Covington, hello, Toby. Dr. Kitty, good morning. Great to have you. Morning, Keith R. Blades. I'll take it as a compliment. Hey, if he was a great Bible teacher, then by all means, that's a compliment to me. Ken says, Pete is an excellent choice. He'll make Lloyd Austin look like Private. Yeah, he will. He will do good. Myra says, question, what is the name of the Facebook group? Ken already posted it. Yep, Right Dividers Defending the Faith. At first it was rightly dividing the word of truth, but there's already like 3 different groups named that. Then I just changed it to Right Dividers, and there's already a group like that. So I put Right Dividers Defending the Faith. Let's see here. Rick Allen says, sorry I'm late. Rick, unforgivable. I'm just kidding. Great to have you on. Glad to be here. Finally, you're traveling and listening. Good deal. Near Shreveport, Alan says. And then, let's see here. Alan says, Right Dividers Defending the Faith, direct link. It doesn't show up. Can I post a link in the, let's see. I've had a bunch of y'all request to join. Let's see here. At Ken, Got Ken approved. I think I invited some of you on before you saw it. We're up to 32 members now. Hot dog. Let's see here. Can I post the link to the page? I'll sure try. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Yeah, I think it's going to work. There you go. There's the link, everybody, in the chat. Should be able to get you there. Let me know, Alan, if you need help. But yeah, I thought it'd be good to have a group. That way we could stay in touch. I'll certainly be, sharing a lot of stuff that you already watch. I'll be sharing the links. Alan, you're already approved. And so, that'll be your opportunity to kind of keep up with us. But if you have questions, and if you guys want to discuss stuff, not just during the show, but, during the week, you want to say hi to each other, update one another. It's a place for theology, but hey, post a pic of the grandkids or whatever if you'd like to. It's a place of community. I know so many of you live so far away from, other people that you could fellowship with at church. It'd be a great opportunity for us to fellowship, feel like we're a little bit closer. I can post you updates and things like that about Bible conference coming up at the end of March, by the way. Probably end of March, maybe 1st of April, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. All that's coming very quickly. You can all complain about Mark's choice of facial hair, how you miss the beard, or you don't like the stash, or you want him to go back to being clean-shaven, or when he's clean-shaven, he looks like a baby. He needs to have something, but neither one of those looked very good. Probably not going to go for the goatee, guys. It's just not my thing. All right. But okay. But there's the update for the group. Jennifer Von Meter just had a request to add the group. That's great. Is she watching today? If so, that's awesome. Otherwise, people are finding us one way or the other. But with all that being said, thank you all. Tonight, we're going to be doing another session of Philippians. I'm going to be getting more uploaded for you. Just be patient with me. I'm trying to get it all caught up, and we're going to hopefully have some internet soon. Internet real soon. I'm working on it, I promise. In the meantime, I don't have anything else for you. But tomorrow is Theology Thursday, and I need some questions, okay? 1611 KJV, send me a question. I got it. So if you want a question answered, or hey, and it doesn't even have to be a question. You can say, listen, Mark, you hold this view. I've heard you say this. I don't think you're right, and here's why. I'll comment. I'll respond to it, because around here, we just want to know the truth, right? We just want the truth, and we can handle the truth, all right? We can, because we're defending it, and we're constantly searching it out, right? Proving what that is true, perfect will of God, all right? So, it's great. We're already having more people hopping on, requesting to join. That's encouraging, exciting. Hopefully we'll have a nice little community here of people that are able to just enjoy each other, okay? Thank you all. I will keep you updated. If you have anything that you would like to reach out to me, you can either do it now through the group on Facebook, or you can do it on the website, markbazeministries.org. And just know that if you ever need anything, people to pray for you as well, we'll be doing that too, okay? Y'all take care. Appreciate each and every one of you. This is Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. And we do it 24/7, but you can join us live Monday through Friday at 9:30 Central Standard Time. We'll be back tomorrow. Go check out Ask the Theologian today on Worshipify or YouTube, Randy White Ministries, randywhiteministries.org. Thank you all so much.